Let's talk about brain injuries. Gary, what is a brain injury?
Brain injury has been defined by the medical people in a variety of different ways. But you know, one of the first things is it's an alteration in your mental status. Sometimes it involves a loss of consciousness. Sometimes it's just being dazed or confused at the scene, like of an accident, a trauma. And those are the general definitions. But you have amnesia, loss of consciousness, being dazed or confused, or a change in your mental status.
And Brad, can these brain injuries occur in car crashes?
Oh, most definitely. What people don't understand, it's funny how people can take, for instance, the shaken baby syndrome and say if you shake a baby, you can cause head injuries or brain injuries or even kill a baby. But when we talk about a car accident where there's been no contact, they say that can't happen to an individual, to an adult. It can. An adult can hit their head in the car and have this altered state of consciousness, or sometimes they just can have a sudden acceleration, deceleration, moving back and forth, side to side, sometimes at an angle, and it can cause the same type of injury, and it has to be addressed.
So in car crash cases, even with minimal property damage, could we have a brain injury?
You can sometimes call it a closed head injury. The significant factor is the acceleration and deceleration. The brain there's a shearing effect on the brain, and you can have a closed head injury or brain injury even though there's minimal property damage, because what's important is the movement, the significant movement and forces that are impacted upon the occupant.
And how do we detect these brain injuries?
Well, they're detected in a number of different ways. Diagnostic testing is sometimes used, but that's not always successful. That's not because the injury's not there, it's because sometimes we just don't have the machinery and the diagnostics available and sophisticated enough diagnostics to see inside a brain and see where things might be a problem. They're mainly detected when you're dealing with friends, when you're dealing with family, when you're dealing with how you were before the incident that occurred versus after the incident. That's what you're looking for, is the changes that occur.
You know, and a lot of those times the resolution of those tests, like x-rays, don't show brain injuries. Sometimes MRIs are negative, meaning they don't see anything, but you still have a brain injury. And so just because the insurance company for the at-fault party says, well, the MRI didn't show it, the CT scan didn't show it, it didn't show up anywhere on the diagnostic test, doesn't mean you don't have a brain injury. And Brad's absolutely right. The symptomatology that onsets, some of it immediate, but some over a few weeks and days and months, are very important. And normally the family members see these symptoms, see the change in personality and behavior before you, the injured person, do.
So if someone in my family sustains a brain injury, what are some of the symptoms I should be looking for?
Watch for things like memory loss. Watch for things like focus, concentration, ability to remember things, simple items, 3, 4 items when they're going to the store. Watch for mood swings. Gary, mood swings.
You know, that's right. And sometimes there's personality changes even on a small level, sometimes an intermediate level, and sometimes a larger level. But some of the symptoms right at the scene of the accident or thereafter are headaches and dizziness, being confused or dazed. But as Brad was saying, these symptoms then onset over days and weeks, because some of these symptoms might not appear for 2 weeks, 2 months, but the family members notice these before you do.
Blurred vision, depression, anxiety, any of those that are out of the ordinary. You have to look at the person and see if they've returned to what you call normal based on how they were before the accident.